Are we ready? All right, our first vocab term, and you've probably heard this before. It was part of our big word from Tuesday, but let's do the kind of basic thing. This unit is all about sequences. Sequences. So a sequence, maybe I'll just do sequence singular and not plural. What is a sequence? Does anybody know what a sequence is? A sequence is, it's a list of values that have some kind of rule or pattern. So I'm going to say a list of numbers that follows a pattern. See, now that looks weird to me because it's kind of not straight. This is why I like the lines, but we'll try without. So that's a sequence. What was the big vocab term from Tuesday? We said it like 20 times in here on Tuesday. The generator, the sequence generator. That's going to be our next vocab term. Sequence generator. And do you guys remember what the sequence generator was? What we're multiplying by, sometimes. What are some other options? What we're dividing by, what we're subtracting, what we're adding, and it can be other things too. So the sequence generator is just kind of like the pattern. You're going to see some interesting sequence generators today that are not multiplying or dividing or adding or subtracting. Maybe they combine a couple of those things together. But the sequence generator is going to be some kind of pattern. So let's give a couple examples. Here's a sequence, 2, 4, so it's a list. Usually we put them with commas in between. 2, 4, 6. Anybody want to guess what's next? 8, and then 10, and then ... What does that ... mean? It means it goes on, it continues on. Does anybody know the name for that punctuation? Sometimes we say etc., which is Latin. This is called an ellipsis. That's not super important for us, though. What is important is, what is the pattern for this? And we can see that to go to the next term, we're always doing plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. So if I were to ask you for the sequence generator for this, we would say add 2. Can somebody give me a sequence where my generator... Actually, I want everybody to try this out. I'm going to give you the generator. I want you to write me a sequence. I would like you to write me a sequence next to this where the generator is times 2 instead of plus 2. See if you can come up with one. By the way, there are millions and millions of different options here. See if you can find me where the sequence generator is times 2. Anybody want to be brave and tell us what your first term is? 2? Start with 2 again? I kind of like that. And then if it's times 2, what do you have for your second term? 4. That actually looks just like what we had over here, but the next one's going to be different, isn't it? It's going to be what? 8 and then 16. This looks familiar. Did we have this? I think we had this exact same sequence in one of our bunny patterns on Tuesday. Yeah, so this time around, my sequence generator is times 2. We're going to look at some other things dealing with sequences today. This is mostly going to be a review for you guys. Do you guys remember the difference between a graph that's increasing and a graph that's decreasing? Can you show me, like with your arm or your hand, what an increasing looks like? Yeah. Okay, so increasing would be something that's going up from left to right. So let's just get it in our notes just in case we forget. Increasing An increasing graph would be, as we move from left to right, it's going to be going uphill. Tell me about the slope of that. If it's a straight line, the slope would be positive or negative. For an increasing, it would be positive. Good. And then decreasing would be the same idea, but as we go from left to right, we're going downhill. And this doesn't have to be with a straight line either. We can talk about decreasing even if it's a curve. In Algebra 1, we don't talk about the slopes of curves. That's basically what calculus is about. You'll learn about slopes of curves in calculus for those who go on that far. And I hope you do. It's one of the coolest math classes you'll ever take. So increasing versus decreasing, I figured you guys would probably be pretty good with that. The other one we'll use to analyze is linear versus nonlinear. And what's special about a graph that is linear? So it's a straight line, right? So linear is always going to be a straight line. And nonlinear could be curved. Okay. You're welcome to grab water if you need to. Okay. Not bother me either. I know sometimes it's uncomfortable. You're going to learn next year in geometry that all lines are straight lines. In math, when we say a line, it has to be straight. A line can never be curved in math. If it's curved, it's called a curve. If it's a line, it has to be straight. There's no such thing as a curved line in math. Unless space is curved. That's like college level geometry though. All right, here's the last two. These two things, along with our sequence generator, are going to be two of the most key terms that we're going to learn about all this unit. And I'm just going to give you the basic definitions today, and then we're going to spend a lot more time talking about them in a couple later lessons. There are two special types of sequences. One is called an arithmetic sequence. Arithmetic sequence. It kind of sounds like what? Arithmetic. What do you think of when you are doing arithmetic? What does the word arithmetic make you think of? And what kind of math? What do you do when you're doing arithmetic? And back in elementary schools when you do learn adding and subtracting. That's what arithmetic. And that's what it means for this. An arithmetic sequence is one where your generator is add or subtract. And this is important. In order for it to be an arithmetic sequence, we must be adding the same thing. So always plus or minus the same value. We wrote two sequences further up our page. They're in red on my paper. One of those is an arithmetic sequence. Which one is? The first one is an arithmetic sequence because we're adding the same thing each time. Our generator is +2. The other one is not arithmetic. Anybody want to guess what it is? It's another mathy term. That's it. What's the class you're going to take next year? Geometry. The other special type is a geometric sequence. And what do you think is special about a geometric sequence? It's not plus or minus. It is multiply or divide. So your generator is multiply I'm going to have to write it out. Multiply or divide. And once again, always by the same value. We did a whole bunch of different bunny problems on Tuesday. Were those problems arithmetic type sequences or geometric type sequences? They were all geometric type sequences. And the challenging thing on some of them was to figure out what was that multiplier, what was that thing we were multiplying by each time. All right, something I need you to know, sequences don't have to be one or the other of these. Most sequences are neither. Okay, so it's not like it's either arithmetic or geometric. On the test, I'm going to give you some sequences, and there's going to be 3 options, and you're going to circle the correct one. Arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Okay, so you're going to see some sequences that are arithmetic and some that are geometric today, but you're also going to see a bunch that are neither. Okay, so there are other things that you can do other than adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing to make a sequence, and you'll run into a couple of those today. Guys, do you have any questions right now? Good. Yes. Questions? Okay. So we're going to get into our activity right now, and I'd like you guys to get out this sheet and have it in front of you. You're going to be working on. Did anybody not get this sheet? You're going to be working on the front side of this with me. We're going to do a problem together. I'm going to put you in pairs or small groups, and then I'm going to assign you to do 2 more of these sequences with your pair or your small group, and then we're all going to come together and kind of take all that information in together. Altogether, we're going to end up doing, it looks like 10 of these sequences, but you're going to be responsible for 2 of them in a minute. So make sure that you're paying attention as we all go over one of these together so you know what the process is. Get your questions answered because you're going to be on your own here in a minute, okay? So we are going to do sequence A, and I have it written down right next to me here, so I'm going to write it out. I'd like you to copy this down onto your page. Sequence A is -4, comma, -1, comma, 2, comma, 5, comma, ... And that's all I'm going to give you. Now, it keeps going on after that, but I'm only giving you the first 4 terms. So our first order of business is going to be, let's fill out this table. Now, this table is always going to go, now I haven't taught you about n and t of n yet. It showed up on our assignment, but I haven't taught you about it, and I don't want you to worry about it for right now. Just for now, think about it as x and y. N is always going to start at 0 or 1, and it's going to count up by 1. So let's fill out our n column. It's always going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. 6, 7, 8. We're just going to go up to 8 for each of these sequences. And we'll get more into this later, but for right now, I'll tell you that n just tells you which term of the sequence you're looking at. So if n is 1, you're looking at the first term. What is my first term? -4. So copy that next to the 1 because that is our first term. When n is 2, we're talking about the second term. What is the second term in this sequence? -1. So put the -1 next to the 2 because -1 is your second term. The third term is 2. The fourth term is 5. And that's all I'm given. That's all I know right now. We're going to have to do a little bit of work to figure out what our pattern is, and then we'll be able to fill out the rest. So we're looking for a sequence generator here. Any questions up to this point? See if you can find me a sequence generator that's going to get us from -4 to -1, and from -1 to 2, and from 2 to 5. +3? Does that work? That works from 2 to 5. Does it? Yes, it does. It works for all of them. +3. Nice. So let's go ahead and put that down here. There's a blank down here, and this is one of the key things for this. My sequence generator is +3. And while we're here, let's do a little analysis. If it's +3, does that mean it's arithmetic, geometric, or neither? Arithmetic, because we're adding the same thing every time. So arithmetic. And go ahead and use that sequence generator to fill out the next 4 terms. Let's get out to the 8th term here, just in our table. So plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. And I see some of you have already started to graph. Remember, we do not connect these points. We're just drawing points. And I made a really big mistake this morning. Well, it wasn't a really big mistake, but I put my first point. Let me show you. Can you guys look up here? Because I bet I'm not the only one who made this mistake. I put my first point right here. Did anybody put their first point right there? No? Oh, you guys are better at this than I am. This is a common mistake. Where should it be? This is 0, 4, agreed? My first point should be at 1, -4. So I needed to make it here instead. Do you see how it'd be easy to make this mistake? I was looking at this and I was like, oh, that's my y-intercept, but it's not. It doesn't have a 0 next to it. So 1, 4. And then the next one was 2, -1. And the next one was 3, 2, and then 4, 5. And you guys know what to do from there. I ran out of space. Oh well. You guys are doing great. Thank you for your attention. We're almost done here. You're going to be working on your own here in a moment. Working with your neighbor. We are just going to do a little bit of analysis of this sequence. I would like to add 2 more words to this page that would help me to describe this sequence. They're both vocab words from the notes that we just took. Can someone give me 1 word that would describe this sequence? Increasing, I heard. You guys agree that this is an increasing sequence? Increasing, I agree. And what other word would apply to this? Linear. It does make a straight line, so this is a linear graph. So increasing and linear. So your job is, I'm going to assign to your team 2 more sequences. Okay? Now, one of you is going to put it on the back of yours, and then the other person is going to put it on the back of theirs. Okay? That's why you've got, so you're not both going to put the same one on the back of yours. Does that make sense? I don't have enough papers for everybody to get a whole bunch more. So, and when you get it done, so you're going to graph it, you're going to make your table, you're going to figure out your sequence generator, increasing, decreasing, linear and nonlinear, arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Then I want you guys to make me a little sign, a little placard. This is my sample. I tried to be kind of like colorful and artistic, but I'm not the most artistic person. There's some folks in here that have some serious artistic talent. Please don't judge me. I'm going to ask that you make a placard for each of your sequences where you put the sequence down, first 8 terms. Do something to illustrate what your sequence generator is. Do your analysis. It's increasing, it's linear, it's arithmetic. Make sure it's labeled clearly sequence A. In the last 20 minutes of our activity today, I'm going to ask you to go around and get information for all 10 sequences. So make sure your work is nice and neat so that when we hang these on the wall, people can walk around and easily find and read the work that you're going to do, okay? This is going to take us about 20 minutes or so to get all this stuff ready. You're going to have to work kind of quickly. I'd like you in pairs or groups of 3. Can we do a group of 3 back here? All right. I will put this back up in just a moment, but these are the sequences. Make sure you get them copied down right away. You guys are going to do sets 1 back here. We'll do Okay? Listen to me, please. Don't miss this. Okay? I will help you, but here's the rule. This is not divide and conquer. Okay? I assigned you guys set 3. I don't want one of you working on F and one of you working on G. It doesn't work that way. You're both going to work on F until it's done, and then you're both going to work on G. Okay? Do not call me over to ask a question about F or about G until F is done. Each of these groups has one sequence that's a little bit tricky. You might need a hint, okay? And it's the second one. So do the first one first, the first one that's listed there first, okay? And then do the other one. And if you need a hint on that second one, call me over. All right, guys? Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing? You guys are awesome. Get it done. Let me know how I can help. We're shooting.